California Governor Gavin Newsom said the Democrats should not appear on Fox News, saying it contributes to the mental health crisis. Here he is with former White House press secretary turned MSNBC host Jen Psaki. Let's watch.
They're all the same. And One American News and Newsmax and what they're doing to divide this country to, where illusion rules, not facts.
Do you occasionally turn on Fox prime time and see what happens?
No.
Just to see?
Not occasionally. Every night.
Every night. And do you think Democrats should still be appearing on Fox, or should they not be appearing on Fox?
It contributes to the mental health crisis in the state. So on the basis of one's own personal conditions, I would not recommend it. My staff is quite literally tried to have interventions with me about it. They say I'm too obsessed with it, but I need to understand it.
You want to know what the other side thinks?
I don't want to know what they think. I want to see the patterns, and what you see are patterns that emerge.
Newsom's criticism of Fox News and advice for fellow Democrats to steer clear was pre-taped with Psaki in April, a couple months before he sat down for an interview with Fox News' Sean Hannity. Speculation rose that Newsom might make a run for president, but he has said he will not challenge President Biden. Which, to be clear, is not the same thing as saying you're not going to run. Of course, Biden could step down.
So I guess this is one of those cases where he's saying, it is bad, it's unhealthy, you shouldn't consume it. I'm an addict, I'm a Fox News addict, I can't help myself, but the rest of you should, which is, I always find obnoxious. The whole idea is, I think, bad, right? There are people watching Fox who might be interested in what a Democrat has to say. Like, if you think your pitch is so weak, you could never get anyone slightly more interested in the policy agenda you have. Look, I give credit to the Democrats who do appear on Fox News. Amy Klobuchar does it.
Ro-Khanna.
Buttigieg does it. Ro-Khanna does it. Look,
Bernie Sanders?
Bernie Sanders has done it. When was the last time Biden was on Fox News? Ever? I can't think of a time.
I can't recall.
Probably back when he was vice president. Look, you shouldn't just speak to people who are already committed, especially, again, if you're trying to build a winning electoral political coalition.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. One
of the interesting moments is when Jen Psaki sort of says, oh, you watch because you want to know what they think, and Newsom says, no, I don't want to know what they think, I want to know what the patterns are. It feels like we're in a place politically
Maybe he didn't want to see
right
his
now.
ex-wife, but she's not on it anymore. Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Yeah. It seems like we're in a place in this country where even acknowledging that you're interested in what a Republican has to, what they think, not that you agree with it, but even understanding their arguments is seen as a kind of betrayal or evidence that you're on the dark side. It's like, don't look in the eye of the hypnotic snake. Like they think that it feels like a sort of insecurity or a weird political litmus test where everyone's afraid of being pegged as a secret conservative sympathizer. It feels akin to me to the Putin puppet allegations and, well, you're just a Trumpist if you don't want to vote for Biden or if you're critical of him in any way. And it feels very toxic to me that you can't, in an interview between two liberals, a former Biden administration and a Democratic governor, admit to saying that it is useful to you to understand what Republicans think. Not to agree with it, not to sympathize with it, but the act of understanding felt too intimate in that clip with Newsom for him to acknowledge. So he had to back it off and say, well, I just want to know what their patterns are.
Well, he was also kind of suggesting that watching Fox or One America or Newsmax is like it's bad, it's unhealthy because I guess because he's saying it's so radicalizing or something like that, or depressing, or
just
warping your mental angry making. But I mean, I think that's such a. I think it's fair to accuse the media in general of sometimes giving a warped perspective of issues or making people too angry or too fearful because that drives engagement, and we're probably all guilty of that at various times. But you can't. I mean, they did that. CNN had a COVID death tracker for forever. It has dramatizes all sorts of harms to all sorts of people. More general advice that turn off your TV or put down social media, and things aren't as apocalyptically bad as the media can portray them. I think that's fine, but I don't think that's a Fox thing.
Well, look, I think he was largely joking about that because he's clearly addicted to watching Fox. He's which is a good thing, by the way, that he shouldn't be apologizing for. I think it's good for him to understand what people who are ideologically diverse think about. But I empathize with the idea that watching too much news or watching people who, you're not politically aligned with can be aggravating. I mean, you don't find yourself in mental arguments or even out loud arguments with the television sometimes when people are saying things that you dramatically disagree with.
All the time.
Yeah, so that's the most relatable part of that clip to me. Okay, yeah, you watch people you don't agree with, it makes you mad, turn it off, touch grass, find your inner peace.
Yeah.
That's fine. But
although I have to say, because since we do this for 3 hours every day, in my off time, I have so much less interest in getting fired up or wanting to debate or I don't want to talk politics anymore. We do it all day. It's exhausting.
I don't want to fight. And when people are you go with your friends, family, or whatnot, and they all want to know what you think about everything, it can be
I'm off the clock.
Exactly.
Stop.
Am I getting paid for this conversation?
Yes.
But I do think that this is evidence of some broader toxic issue that's going on with Democrats, which is going to make it very difficult for them to grow the base. They've been relying on this kind of demographics as destiny argument for a long time, presuming that changing demographic realities are going to benefit Democrats, but the increase in Hispanic voters has not yielded the dividends that they once thought because Republicans have been doing very effective outreach, and Democrats haven't quite figured out how to change up the playbook outside of their version of identity politics. Of course, there's conservative kind of white identity politics that we saw on display with the interview with Tuberville that we talked about in a different segment. But everyone just clinging to those kinds of arguments without making populist economic arguments or anti-war arguments or what have you, I don't think it's going to move the needle very far. Do you think that any of these press junkets that Newsom is going on are indicative of the likelihood of him wanting to position himself to run for president?
I think he will run for president someday. I don't think he's going to get into the 2024 race. I don't think he's going to challenge Biden. I think he's not, because he's not running. Again, if you're challenging Biden, because the establishment
is challenging Biden. He said he's not going to challenge Biden. The question is Biden going to step down? Is Biden going to decline to run?
Under no circumstances. No, he won't. No. It's going to be Biden.
It feels to me at the very least that Gavin Newsom is waiting in anticipation of that, whether or not it's because he thinks there's going to be a medical issue that precludes Biden from running, a cognitive issue that precludes Biden from running. We're still a long way away from an election.
I can't predict if some catastrophic medical thing were to happen to Joe Biden, then yes, I think he might make a go of it. But I don't think Biden is going to step aside unless he's in a coma.
I mean, there have been stories over the last couple of days.
No one gives up power, ever. Ever.
I agree with you, but that's literally not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's going to be something that makes him step down. And there's these stories that happened over the last couple of days. The British royals were upset with him because he was violating protocol as he was wandering around at I don't know if they're at Buckingham Palace or wherever they were with the changing of the guard in that ceremony. There was a whole news cycle over the 4th of July about some people thought he looked really good at the beach. Some people thought he looked stiff and very old at the beach. Some people thought his shorts were too short. I mean, there are an increasing number of videos, I would say, where he does look like a different kind of a guy than he did even 4 years ago. And whether or not there are others like Gavin Newsom who are waiting in the wings, anticipating that there might be something that precludes him from running or that have some inside knowledge that things are not as safe for him health-wise as they're representing. I don't think it's nothing that someone like Gavin Newsom is making choices to me that are indicating that he has a belief that there's an opportunity for him. Whether or not that's true, he has that belief, and I don't think it's an accident that the governor of the most economically significant state in the country is positioning himself this way.
Well, we'll have to see. More Rising right after this.